Yo, what's happening, YouTube family? In this video, I'm going to take you guys through a few of my early projects that I had in my portfolio when I started out. Now, I think that your portfolio is always going to evolve as you grow as a designer, but these are the projects that helped me land a couple of my first UX roles. And my goal for this video is that I hope that it helps you see that there's no right or wrong with how you build out your portfolio. I know that there's YouTube videos out there saying how you should show your case studies and what kind of projects you should show in your portfolio, but personally I think that your portfolio should speak to who you are as a person, so people can, they can gotta get a sense for what your passions are, what your strengths are. And for me, I used to be a DJ and barber, and I used to cook for my friends and family to come over. Like, I've always been somebody who enjoys creating fun experiences for folks. So what you'll see in my work, in my early work, is that it used to be really quirky because I always wanted to have a job where I could use my creativity, and I wanted to be in an environment that fosters experimentation. So enough talk, let's get into it. So this first project that you guys are looking at right here is called What Do the Gurus Say? And it was basically a soundboard of all the characters and people that I enjoyed watching on TV when I was a young kid. So just to show you guys what it did, I'll just click on MC Hammer's head right here and give you a little hammer time. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. Boom, 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 boom. All right, so that's pretty cool. I'll give you one more. I'll click on this Power Ranger's face.
Master of Lion Thunderzord power! Pterodactyl Firebird Thunderzord power!
All right, so you guys get the point. But what I was trying to learn with this project is how to use Photoshop, so I chopped out all these guys' heads from Google images that I found online, and I kind of like edited them to all kind of look a little bit similar as far as like the saturation and brightness goes. And then I coded this page up. I was trying to learn CSS and how to display certain things, and I was also trying to learn how to use media queries. So if I scale down the screen right here, you'll see that the layout changes. So doing this right here was a big deal to me. Just learning how to make a layout flexible. So let's move on to the next project. This is called Rock, Paper, Scissors Superstar Edition. And this was one of the first projects that I did during my time at General Assembly. And this was just my little creative spin on rock, paper, scissors. So you'll see here that if you hover over each character, they just change the expression on their face. But what we were trying to learn at General Assembly was how to use logic with JavaScript. So to get the game started, I just have to click on one of these characters' faces. But before I do that, take a guess at who these characters are. Hopefully that gives you a little hint. But if you don't know, this is Rock, and this is represented by Jimi Hendrix, who's smoking a doobie right here. This man right here is a guy who won 6 NBA championships, played for the Chicago Bulls, making that paper, Mr. Michael Jordan. This guy right here likes to cut people off on stages. I'll give you a hint. He cut off Taylor Swift in an award show. A lot of people get mad at him. Kanye West. So since a lot of people don't like Kanye, I like Kanye. He's got his little troubles, but I'll click on his face to get the game started. And no, I'm not playing against anybody across the world. I'm just playing against the computer's logic. So let's just click on his face. Boom, it's a tie. Peace and love for everyone. I like that. I'll play one more time, clicking on somebody a little bit more peaceful. It's a tie. Peace and love for everyone. Okay. All right. So, and then I can reset the game if I click on this little word right here. Boom. So this was a lot of fun to work on. And what I was trying to learn with this project, yeah, it was Java, how to use JavaScript logic. So I did some JavaScript, and of course I did some HTML, CSS, and I was also trying to learn how to uh, display typography in a way that I thought looked visually appealing. And these are some of the first illustrations of characters that I ever did in Illustrator. So that was a lot of fun too. Believe it or not, I used to do faces like this in the Paint application on PCs while I was in high school. So um, yeah, it just reminded me of the work I did as a kid. So moving on to the next project, let me restart this, refresh it. So with this project here, this was self-initiated, and what I was trying to learn with doing this was how to use CSS animations. So I had to illustrate the clouds, basically everything you see on the page. So this was one long image here with the mountains, this background with the cactuses and the little images that you see was another image, and this was another image as well. And I had to use the something called Z index, which was a CSS property, to kind of layer all these things on the page. There goes a hitchhiker, but I'm not gonna pick him up. And uh, if I move the directional keys on my keyboard, you'll see that the van moves. So I'm just gonna go way off in the distance here and drive in the mountains. uh, so yeah, this was one of the first. This is one of the funnest projects that I ever did. Um, so yeah, it's still fun to look at today. This next project here was a web application that I started in General Assembly, but I didn't finish it until after GA was done. And I got a lot of help from a couple of my buddies in the class who really enjoyed back-end development because, yeah, this was a web application that was built on Ruby on Rails. I used Bootstrap to do the front-end work. So yeah, to basically create this layout here. And I think it's also responsive as well. Let's see. Don't get mad at me if it's not, but okay, it is not. So I didn't work on it. Okay. But anyways, as you could see, I was trying to show why I built this page, how it works, and then I built out these sign up pages. So if the idea was that if you were a barber looking for new clients, you could show your portfolio on here. Or if you were a customer looking for a barber, you could check out their portfolios through this site. So you could think of it as an Instagram for barbers. Um, and yeah, you could sign up in all these different fields. There was an about page that didn't look very good, and I'm sure this little buddy right here would agree with me. He's looking all mad. But I've already created some credentials, so I'll just let you guys see how it looked. So this was the profile page, and it wasn't very good. Uh, just remember, I built this in 2014 when I was starting out. So, but it was a good start, right? And if I go to search right here, you'll see that these are all the barbers that we kind of dummied. These are just dummy profiles. But I'll just show you how it works. So let's just pretend I live in Beverly Hills. So I'm putting in 90210, and I see Mr. Gooch Davis who works out there. So let's see what his profile looks like. Okay, so Gooch is a Ferrari boy for life. He says, "Ride with me to my fresh groove." All right, I can dig your style, Gooch. I see that the price of his haircuts is $40 to $75. So this man, he is serious about his business. And I see his little portfolio here. And okay, Javier is too clean. I really did a good job on him. The clean fadeaway Chef Curry with the cuts. Boy, okay. Let me just comment on this. This guy doesn't look very happy with his haircut, but you know what? I'm gonna like it anyway, and I'm gonna say, good job, Gooch. All right, so that's nice. And then you used to be able to see your comments when you click on when you would write in one of your comments. So yeah, this was a fun project to work on. If I click on edit profile here, okay. So yeah, this was like, to be honest, I put probably around 400 hours into doing this project. It was challenging because I found out that I didn't like back end development. I really enjoyed doing front end design, and as you could see, I wasn't very good at it here, but it was a start. And then I actually wanted to create a prototype to show how I thought the native application would work on iOS. So as you can see here, it looks really similar to Instagram, uh, and I was just studying how Instagram worked. Like, so just studying Instagram helped me a lot in the beginning of my career. But as you can see here, this is how the homepage would look. If I went to search, the idea was that you could search by price or their zip code, and then you could also upload photos or videos or look through messages. And then right here, this is just shows that I'm logged in as Gooch Davis, and I've got 18 images. You see my followers, how many people are following me. Well, how many people I'm following, my bad. And if I click on this little calendar icon in the top right, then I'm looking at a calendar right here. But if I click on this specific date, then I see my schedule. And I see that I'm cutting hair for Jim Beam, which should be like at least a $500 cut for Mr. Jim Beam. And also John Hand. You know, this guy's gonna market my stuff. So yeah, this project was a lot of fun. I could see people who commented on my stuff. So I really took the idea of lineup pretty far. And I actually wanted to make this a product, but then I learned that there was something like this out there already that was doing quite successful. So I kind of gleaned away from that. So this next project here was a rinky-dink UX portfolio that I created. And yeah, I was just trying to learn HTML and CSS when I was doing this project. So yeah, continuing to learn how to create layouts. And I created this little about page here. I remember I did that. But yeah, this was some of my first UX work. So let's look at this one right here. This was actually the wireframe that I did for this page right here. Amazing work, right? Desktop view, mobile view. Look at those faces. This is an amazing sketch right here. I'm gonna show this to my daughter one day. This was something I did for General Assembly with a few of my classmates, but I don't have access to that file. If I did, I would show you. But this right here was the wireframe for this page here. So this was actually the beginning stage where I was trying to tell myself that when I was using the z-index property, this would be the topmost layer, and I had to animate this at the fastest speed, and then this would be a little slower, and this would be the slowest on the page, so it kind of looked like a movie frame. So yeah, this was the beginning stages of that page that you guys saw. Plan an epic night you won't remember. I'm not doing that in my 30s with a little girl. But this right here was a little mock-up that I did for an idea I had of when the club was popping. So I used to like to go clubbing with my friends a lot. And I wanted to make this app called Viper that would tell you, uh, like it would show a meter of when the club was popping. So if it was 9 o'clock, maybe it was low key. If it was 10 o'clock, it got a little hotter in there. And if it was 11, it was popping. That's the idea. So I didn't run with that. But if you want to, and it works out, and you get $1 million funding, just give me 2%. That's all I asked for, not too much. This one right here was the mock-up I did, the wireframe I did for lineup. And I just wanted to make this for fun because I was practicing my illustration skills and, just doing. I made my dream car and I made it bounce so I can move it here. I said hover over me for jiggy bouncing. That's like some old school Will Smith talk. All right, this next page here was a parallax page that I created after an executive at one of the first companies I worked at called MGO. He wanted to build out a parallax page for a marketing page that he wanted us to create. And nobody in the company really understood how to create parallax pages. So I learned on my own, and my hope was that it could be one of the first projects that I could jump on. I was really excited, and it didn't go through, but it was still hella fun to learn how to do parallax pages. So I had to learn how to use JavaScript and HTML. I had to like further my skills with those concepts in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if I scroll down, let's get it started. So you see that basketball was my first love, and I illustrated all this stuff. So yeah, you see that I made a little hoop right there. Then I found skateboarding, which is something I did between the ages of like 12 and 21. I painted sneakers for friends. Boom. See a little love-hate thing I got going on there. And eventually I became a barber. Now look at this right here. I was so excited when I made this. This is my representation of Will Smith with the flat top. And then I cut his hair off. I chopped it into an afro and put a little line in his head. And even this guy's shocked. Look at his expression. So boom. Gardening and making things grow became a cool hobby. Indoor gardening is something I still do, and I like helping people grow spiritually, and I like growing. So yeah, still a hobby. Now I've become Dudu the designer. All my interests have one thing in common: vision. Having the vision, work ethic, ability to strategize and execute is what translated into my desire to be a designer. And now you see this little fresh doo-doo here. So yeah, this was a lot of fun for me to present to you guys, and hopefully it gives you a little inspiration on what you can add to your portfolio. But like I said before, I wanted to work somewhere that was fun and creative, and somewhere that fostered that kind of environment. So if you see through my work, it wasn't they weren't really like case studies or anything, but they were more like when I went to a hiring event, I would have people play around with this stuff, and their eyes would light up when they'd see this work. So yeah, I'd be like, click on the keyboard, and they would just go like, oh my gosh. And yeah, just showing this kind of work led to my first few interviews. So yeah, if you're somebody who is really into analytics, build out a nice visual for how you would display data, or if you're into sales, make up fake dummy mock-ups of you selling a certain product. Like there's a ton of different ideas that I would have for you guys. So if you comment below and you need some help, I could try to shoot you some ideas, but this is just how I presented my work. And yeah, I would say this is what got me started and what helped me get where I am today. So hopefully it was fun for you guys to check out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.